El Gallo returned. Jake Paul returned and defeated Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., former champion, the man who's fought Canelo, the man who fought Maravilla Martinez. And it seems to me that Jake Paul is by far the best opponent he's ever faced.
I think the fight, panned out basically what I expected. Chavez Jr., he isn't disciplined. The people that are shocked are probably the ones that, got duped.
It makes me laugh. They should know by now this is the formula for Jake Paul. The fact that Jake Paul's going to win because his team strategically handpicked that opponent for a specific reason.
If you know Chavez Jr., you should have known that he was not going to take this fight seriously. And I think he was more interested in obviously getting the paycheck.
What's next? Because Jake Paul said that he wants tougher opponents. He wants to become a world champion.
He likes the sound of it. And I'm sure he wants to, but he doesn't want to go the hard way. He doesn't want to actually walk down the path of becoming a world champion.
Welcome back to another episode of the Last Round Podcast, where we cover everything from traditional boxing to influencer boxing and everything in between. Today's episode, we'll be going over Jake Paul's UD win over Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., the fight agreement and confirmation between Devin Haney as he takes on Brian Norman Jr., and also the rematch featuring Conor Benn as he looks to beat Chris Eubank Jr. But before we get into the episode, make sure to like and subscribe and follow us on all forms of social media. Lastly, we're trying to build up a community on Discord, and you guys joining would be greatly appreciated. And now, diving into the episode, this past weekend, El Gallo returned. Jake Paul returned and defeated Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. in the 10-round cruiserweight fight. Now, this was Jake Paul's quote-unquote step up. Yeah. The last time we saw him was against Mike. 60-year-old Mike, basically. This guy, Chavez Jr., former champion, the man who's fought Canelo, the man who fought Maravilla Martinez. This man's been in the ring with some great fighters. And it seems to me that Jake Paul is by far the best opponent he's ever faced. But what are you guys' thoughts about the fight?
Yeah, for me, first off, I kind of want to just go off and just say to the people who doubted us, I feel like a lot of people were throwing hate at us, saying that we didn't know anything about boxing, that we were delusional to pick a guy like Jake Paul, a YouTuber boxer, over a next world champion fighter, who is past his prime, but he's still fighting, you know what I'm saying? And he's not that old, right? 38, 39, he's right there. But, were we right or were we right?
Well, we were right. We were definitely right. I think I think the fight, panned out basically what I expected. Like we were saying this, we said this last episode where Chavez Jr. just isn't disciplined, and he has a track record of not working hard, has a track record of just being lazy and not actually putting in 100%. Because I feel like if he put 100%, I think he could have beaten Jake Paul. I definitely think he has the skills necessary to beat him, but he's just unwilling to do that. And I think he was more interested in obviously getting the paycheck. He went in there, and for 8 rounds of the fight, he did nothing. He did not throw. He did not swing. He was, kind of pressuring, trying to look pretty, basically. And so it was easy for Jake Paul. You stayed on the outside, jabbed him, went to the body, put 2-3 combinations together. And he was he ran away with the fight. It was a clear unanimous decision. I think finally we saw life from Chavez in the last 2 rounds, which, surprised me a little bit, but basically what I expected happened, and the people that are shocked are probably the ones that got duped by Jake Paul. They saw on paper Chavez Jr. like we were saying, an ex-world champion, only 39 years old. That's not crazy old, and they got duped. They thought it was going to be a competitive fight. No, if you know Chavez Jr., you should have known that he was not going to take this fight seriously, and I think the performance showed it.
Yeah, so for all those casuals, we want an apology.
No, but yeah, the fight, the fight overall was very one-sided, pretty boring throughout. the 10 rounders. Also, this was, fun fact, this was only Jake Paul's second time doing the 10 rounder. Yeah. First time was against Nate Diaz. So, it took him a couple more fights, in there to finally get another 10 rounder. But, this fight was, according to Jake Paul, was very necessary because he's always talking about, I want to become a world champion. I want to become a world champion. After the fight, he had the whole face-off with El Zurdo Ramirez, the current, what is it?
WBO.
WBA and WBO. So, yeah, he's a unified champion, cruiserweight champion. So, I mean, look, Jake Paul, he stated that, the WBA president told me that, I might get ranked if I perform well for this fight. And, I mean, he beat him 8-2. It's a clear UD win. Of course, there's a backlash on Chavez because, like we mentioned, what Asa mentioned right now, it was not the best performance from him. But, I mean, shit, bro, if the WBA is actually serious, then, Jake Paul might finally get, recognized and start getting ranked. It was in the rankings of the WBA at the cruiserweight division.
Well, I mean, I think he should be ranked, but, it depends what placement we're talking about here. I don't want to see nothing like, ranked top 20 in the world of the cruiserweights. I think that would be crazy. But, I mean, he could be like, I don't know, 50, around there, maybe even lower, if you want to be charitable. But, I mean, he is doing his thing. Like, I mean, he is fighting. He's being active. And this, on paper, like, for rankings, I think it was a smart decision to fight a guy like Chavez Jr., former world champion. So, on paper, it should boost him up in the standings and all of them. But still, though, I don't want to see, please, Zurdo Ramirez, don't fight Jake Paul. Don't do it. I know the check looks real nice, and I know the all the engagement and all eyes would be watching, and you'd make the biggest money of your life, and it'd be a very easy fight. It would not go the distance, but it just hurt the sport. I just don't want to see Jake Paul fight Ramirez. I think that'd be crazy. So hopefully that doesn't happen.
You know what? That's kind of what surprised me a little bit. The fact that look, I truly don't believe, even though Ramirez has said that he'd be open to fighting Jake Paul, I don't think he's serious about it. I think it's just mostly just him talking to get a little bit more eyeballs on him and stuff. Because if we're gonna be realistic, like that's such a huge mismatch. Like I'm not. If that fight were to ever get sanctioned, like that'd be crazy because Jake Paul is going to the hospital. Ramirez is just on a higher level. He's a guy who he's destined for more. You know what I'm saying? He's definitely on a crash collision course with the Aussie man.
Yeah, Jay Apataya.
Apataya is another guy who Jake Paul should also stay away from.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think that's the big beef at the cruiserweights is them. It's Jay Apataya and it's Zurdo Ramirez. They're the ones that are supposed to be fighting, so they can get an undisputed. No, don't bring no fucking Jake Paul in the mix. Keep him, fighting these like Chavez Jr. types of fighters. Let him build up. If he's actually serious, let's see in 2-3 years, how much how high or much he is in the rankings. But so yeah, the crash collision course is set. It's Apataya versus Zurdo Ramirez, and I think that'd be a fantastic fight.
And I feel like at the end of the day, like you have to look at it through this lens, like. Ramirez is already a champion. He's been a champion in different weight classes, and he's been moving up and still looking well. He's actually looked better now as he's got it, as he's moved up these weight classes. And Jake Paul, he's still a prospect if you can even give him that label. Like, I don't even know what's below a prospect, but like he's right there. I mean, this guy, congrats to him. I feel like he has improved on his boxing skills even since that Mike Tyson fight. But he's still much of a novice. Like, he still thinks like a novice. He still fights like a novice. You know what I'm saying? He's either super on the defensive, running back a little bit, or just moving around, or being on the attack. And I think and this goes for any boxer, like a prospect trying to become a contender, or for a contender trying to become, fight for a world title, you have to be able to find moments to do a little bit of both, almost like being able to do one thing and then out of nowhere switch it up and then go on the attack.
Yeah, he's also, I mean, he has a horrible habit of keeping his hands down as well, because he likes to fight like that, I guess. He has his hand down right here on his chin, and his left hand is down, and so a quick jab. But like he doesn't have the reflexes to be doing all that. And there was a couple instances in the fight where he got caught a little bit just because his hands down. So he definitely is, his boxing is definitely novice, you know.
Yeah, Jake Paul. I mean, look, it makes me laugh so much because I want to go back to the earlier point where you guys mentioned about, you know, people being duped, you know, actually believing that Chavez was going to win, but they should know by now. This is the formula. This is the secret. Not even a secret recipe. It's the recipe for Jake Paul. The fact that he announces his opponent. They're all like, oh, his opponent's gonna win. You know, opponent Nate Diaz, Mike Perry, Mike Tyson, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. They're obviously gonna win. I mean, they have so much more fight experience than Jake Paul. And then what happens? Jake Paul beats them, and then they bitch about it being rigged. And I'm like, bro, like, you guys should know that Jake Paul and his team perfectly craft. You know, they have the perfect strategy for selecting their opponents, and they take these calculated risks, you know, with the UFC fighters or older washed up fighters, in order to, you know, build up Jake Paul's resume, his record, you know, to gain traction, to gain pay-per-view buys. And I mean, we've seen that happen all the time. The only time it didn't work was when Jake Paul faced Tommy Fury, and that's where he lost. Hence why he hasn't returned back to fighting a young, actual active fighter like Tommy Fury, even though Tommy Fury wasn't even active during that time. But he was at least young, you know, his age. And you saw that Jake Paul's punch, you know, was not effective at all against, you know, a young fighter similar to his own age class. So, I mean, people bitching about Jake Paul in his fights are the same people that fall for the same trap over and over again. Like, you should know that Jake Paul's gonna win because his team strategically handpicked that opponent for a specific reason.
And that's what it is. Yeah, it's a strategic plan. It's very smart by Jake Paul, but it's not a fixed fight. I saw there was a lot of people, a lot of comments, and it always does happen, you know, when Jake fights, where, you know, oh, the script, this is scripted, it's fake as hell. They were citing Chavez's inactivity. They're like, oh, he wasn't allowed to throw punches. I'm like, no, that's just how Chavez fights, you know. And Chavez is just like that, you know. No, that's not true. So, you know, they were saying, you know, it's fixed. You know, they weren't letting Chavez throw, but it's really not that. It's how incredibly smart Jake and his team are. I mean, like, he's got some really good people around him, because these fights are really great at getting the public's attention, but they're a calculated risk. You know, they're not sending him off to the wolves, to the lions. It's little step-by-step increments where he's able to beat these guys that have credentials. You know, of course, he always gets criticized because he's fighting UFC fighters, and they say, oh, that's not a boxer. But then he says, but these guys have been world champions in their sport. These guys have years and years of experience and years of fighting, more than me, that I just started. So it's so smart, man. It's so smart. So that's what I think it is. I don't think he's faking fights. I don't think that's really a possibility, because it's crazy too. I saw Virgil Ortiz Jr. Went out on Twitter and said that, you know, he was calling it a circus show, and he was basically implying it was like fake. But I don't think it's that, man. I just think Jake is smart, and he picks the exact right guy to go in there. And when the guy doesn't perform, everyone screams scripted, and I say no. It was just it was a smart plan. That's why they picked him. His performance is why they picked him.
Yeah, it's all those people that are just super surprised, super stunned, that like they cannot believe that a fighter that they just have this perception of losing to a YouTuber, right? And I think that just kind of shatters their reality, that's like the one thing that they go to. It's scripted. Oh, Jake Paul paid them to not throw, to lose, or whatever. In regards, there was another an ex-boxer, Paulie Malignaggi. He said that he thought that Julio Cesar was actually going to come into the ring a little bit more motivated, because his father was saying that he's training, he's there with him, and kind of like watching him go out through this whole camp. And so he was duped a little bit too. But I think the key thing is the fact that it's not just Jake Paul, it's Jake Paul's team. Jake Paul has a massive team. Within his boxing coaches, he has 3 different boxing coaches. Like, he has like 2 boxing coaches, that work on him on 2 different things, and then I think he has a strength and conditioning coach that does like boxing regimens and workouts that are specific for that. And I'm pretty sure he would have probably like a similar like 2 to 3 different like business managers, social media managers, people who just take care of that aspect of for him and whatnot. And I kind of had a feeling that they were eyeing Julio Cesar Chavez because if I'm not mistaken, about one or two fight cards ago, they had Chavez Jr. fighting on the undercard of one of Jake Paul's fights.
Yeah.
And I think they were just kind of watching to see, if this was a guy that Jake Paul could beat. And, they were right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's very calculated, very strategic. Him and his boxing team are, very smart individuals, and they play into the hate. I mean, I guess they do play into the hate. I guess I don't know if you saw Piers Morgan tweeted out, bashing Jake Paul earlier today, and then Jake Paul's manager or promoter or whatever, I think manager, came out, rebuttaling Piers Morgan, and then Jake Paul even got in it saying that he's now going to start taking action against people who slander his name. So Jake Paul now is kind of fighting back against the haters when they try to slander his name about it being fixed or corrupt or that he's on roids, stuff like that. So we'll see what happens with Jake Paul in that manner. But for sure, Jake Paul got the UD win over Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. What's next? Because Jake Paul said that he wants tougher opponents. He wants to become a world champion. So, I mean, if you want to become a world champion, you should have been taking the tougher opponents already. I mean, come on, dude. But, I mean, well, who's next realistically for Jake Paul after this fight? Do you think he's serious about actually wanting tougher opponents or actually wanting to become a world champion? Or do you think it's just to make noise and that he's going to continue fighting, UFC stars or older washed-up fighters?
Look, in regards to that, I just said it right now. He's not at that level. Those 2 guys that we mentioned, that cruiserweight, yeah, he can't beat Zurdo and he can't beat Jai. But there is a 3rd champion though that I've been saying, and I'm pretty sure Jake Paul went 10 rounds. He didn't look too bad. He didn't take too much of a punishment. But there's Badou Jack, dude. If he fights Badou Jack and he beats him, he's gonna be a world champion, a legit world champion, and there would be no denying that he isn't a real boxer.
Well, I mean, even though Badou Jack's like 40, 41, something like that,
still a champion.
Yeah, I know. That's not what I'm trying to imply. What I'm implying though is, even though Badou Jack is an older fighter, he still beats Jake Paul. He's got more dog than. Hella more dog than Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. And he's not gonna go in with that bullshit, with he's gonna give it his all. Like he's literally gonna train like a fucking world champion, and he still has enough experience, enough skills within his arsenal for him to easily. I think he easily beats Jake Paul, because Jake Paul, bro, in the last 2 rounds against Chavez started lighting him up, man, and I was all like, bro, like. And Jake Paul, he doesn't really know what to do when he gets, when they start coming at him like that. He kind of just, I think a good example would be the Tommy Fury fight. The way when Tommy started knocking his head up, oh my gosh, Jake Paul didn't really know how to react. He looked lost. Same way, when an opponent actually starts throwing hands at Jake Paul, he looks a little bewildered. Badou Jack is gonna punish that motherfucker, bro. He's gonna bully him. He's a big dude too. He's not scared of Jake Paul. He does not respect him, and I'm sure Badou Jack would do easy work on Jake Paul. So I think Jake Paul right now should just focus on, if he's actually serious about wanting to be a world champion, actually incrementing with actual legitimate other ranked fighters within the organization.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think the same thing. I think, but I don't even think that fight would happen, honestly, because Jake Paul still isn't ranked yet, or like not even close to being in the top 10 or anything. So I don't think the sanctioning bodies would even allow that. It'd be funny.
Well, I was about to say, Manny Pacquiao was coming back after a 2-year layoff, and he was ranked number 8 right from the get-go. Yeah.
Hey, we're talking about a living legend, though. Okay, so he gets some respect. I will stand by that decision. I'll stand by that decision. But yeah, that fight won't happen. Yeah, I don't think it will happen. And I think Jake does want to become a world champion, but he just he likes the sound of it. he likes the sound of the story. You know, he's a YouTuber, Disney kid YouTuber, and then he becomes a boxer and he becomes a world champion and proving all the haters wrong. It sounds nice, and I'm sure he wants to, but he doesn't want to go the hard way. He doesn't want to actually walk down the path of becoming a world champion, because to do that, you have to start fighting active, ranked fighters in the cruiserweight division, and that's not going to attract that many eyes. You know, he is a big name, so it's gonna get some publicity, but not as much as publicity if he fights Chavez Jr. Not as much if he fights Mike Tyson. And that's what he mainly wants. He likes spectacles. You know, he's a spectacle type of fighter. He's an entertainer. So I don't think realistically, I'd say he's going to keep on fighting guys like this. He's going to fight, maybe ex-UFC fighters, retired or semi-retired pro boxers that are getting old. He's going to continue to do that. And I think he's just going to try to get his name like so big to where he can weasel his way into a world championship. I think that's his strategy. He wants to do that. He doesn't actually want to go down the hard road of starting to fight some ranked guys that people have never heard of. Like, what's the point of that, So I think realistically that's what's going to happen. But we'll see where Jake Paul goes. I don't even know who if he has anyone in mind, because I feel like in the past he kind of had like some idea of his next opponent, but right now we have nobody. So we'll see if he fights this year. I doubt it. I'd say we're gonna see him back next year, early next year.
Yeah, for me, I feel like I'm kind of like on the same boat as that, like that same thinking. Like he gets so big that like the sanctioning bodies, like I said it before, they like to move the goalpost. They like to add new things here and there and just get fighters to, move up the rankings and maybe get them to fight a certain champion or whatever. And so, that's what I'm seeing right now. I think Jake Paul is just going to get so big that these organizations are gonna want to rank him within their sanctioning bodies. But as of right now, I can't really think of anyone that, off the top of my head, that I would like to see him fight, apart from like Badou Jack. But as of right now, no, I can't think of anyone in mind.
Tommy Fury rematch, maybe. I think that'd be good. But Tommy Fury,
KSI.
KSI, yeah, always KSI, bro. But regarding Tommy Fury, bro doesn't even fight, so like there's no point of even pursuing the rematch. And it's so funny because Tommy Fury, even though he's the guy who beat Jake Paul, he's the one who's calling for a rematch, which is kind of funny.
It's embarrassing, to be honest,
to see. But Jake Paul, got the UD win over Chavez Jr. this past weekend, and is looking to set his sights on El Zurdo Ramirez. They had the face off and everything. You could tell El Zurdo Ramirez is fucking massive, bro, compared to Jake. Jake's already a big guy, but Zurdo's fucking the tank. But let's go down the list right here. We also had El Zurdo Ramirez fight. He fought his number one contender, Yuniel Dorticos. Got the UD win, and I saw a lot of people online weren't very happy with the performance, saying I think Jay Opetaya beats him. And I personally think that Opetaya has a good chance of beating Ramirez, but, it's a fight that needs to happen. What are your guys' thoughts about that fight, Zurdo?
Yeah, I didn't get to watch it, but I think one thing that Jake said that is true is the fact, when they did a face-off, he was like, I don't know, I think he said you're good or something, but you're slow. Yeah. And that honestly is true. Zurdo Ramirez, he is like not blessed with like fast reflexes or something, man, because he's just slow. Even reflexes wise, he's just slow. He's very flat-footed. Like, he's very grounded. He's not explosive at all. So it's just all that hard work that he puts in. Hats off to him. But I don't think he's like very naturally, like athletic. No. Whereas a guy like Jay Opetaya, like explosive, fast. Hits hard. Two completely different fighters. So, in that fight, I've thought before, and I'll say it again, I still think Jay will be the king of the cruiserweights. I think Ramirez, he's a great guy, but he's just, I don't know, he's too slow. He's not, he's too flat-footed for a guy that as quick and as explosive as Opetaya. So, I like that fight a lot for Opetaya.
Yeah, it was very noticeable. when Zurdo fought Bivol. Oh my God, just 12-0. Super easy fight for Bivol. Bivol just had to like use speed and to just move around him, and then Zurdo just couldn't do anything about it. Look, I want to say like I've had my doubts with Zurdo, but as he's continued to fight and just continue to win, like he's able to find ways to win, even though he's so slow. Like he understands that he's slow, but he's actually able to find ways around it, and use it to his advantage. But in regards to Opetaya, he's explosive, man. That's a dangerous fighter, and he's a guy who has power in both hands. Not saying that Zurdo can't take a punch, because he can take a punch. He can receive two just to give one back. But I mean, when you put it that way, I mean, Opetaya does. How many fights does he have? He doesn't have too many. He has less fights than Zurdo, right? But I mean, I just feel like right now he might have the momentum riding for him.
Opetaya has 28 fights, and
Ramirez probably has like 40 because he, on that Mexican shit, man. Come on now.
He's got 49.
What did I say?
49.
Like, come on. You already know those Mexicans have so much fucking fights. It's crazy. But yeah, it'd be a great fight. I think that fight, it has to happen. If it doesn't happen this year, it has to happen early next year. I mean, it only makes sense. It's the both. I think they're the. Both of them are the champions, right? No one else is a champion. Oh no, Badu Jack, yeah, he has one belt. So I guess it won't be for undisputed, but I mean it'd be damn near because Badu is about to retire. Let's be honest.
Yeah, these are the top 1 and top 2 guys. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, yeah, it's basically winner takes all, and then the winner has to fight Badu Jack, and that would be such an easy fight.
That's an easy fight. After let's say after you beat the other guys, that's gonna be an easy fight.
Well, going down the list of the fights, we had oh my God, Schofield. Kid Austin, right?
Yeah,
Kid Austin. Floyd Schofield returned back to the ring after nearly dying before fighting Shakur Stevenson, where he had to pull out. But he returned to take on Tevin Farmer. Now, Tevin Farmer has been coming off from 2 very, very tough and very close fights with El Camarón Cepeda, and fights that people believe that he won. So Tevin Farmer, respect to him. He's getting right back in there against a very young and dangerous fighter in Schofield. But man, the risk, I don't know if it was worth it, man, because Floyd Schofield shut all the haters, all the doubters up, and KO'd TKO'd Tevin Farmer in the first round. Thoughts about that?
I mean, it's exactly right. He shut down all the haters because there's a lot of haters right now, and I was one of them. And when he pulled out of the fight with Shakur, that week, literally fight week, it was crazy. And then his dad just had to post him in the hospital. All the hate just came pouring in from the fans. It was insane. So I understand the hate, and this is literally what you need. You don't go on social media and you don't be like start trying to make excuses or justify it. No, you go, you fight, and you give a great performance. He knocked out Tevin Farmer in less than a round. Like, it was crazy, and it showed so much. Tevin Farmer just went 24 rounds with a supposed beast in William Zepeda. Crazy, and the fights were like back and forth, majority decision, I think split decision. So they were real competitive, close fights, which some fans think he won. And Floyd Schofield goes out there, lands a right hand, and fucking puts him on skates. Like, it's crazy. So I think it was extremely impressive by Kid Austin. I think he's that's what he needed. He needed that, and you could tell the emotion came out when he won. So good on him, man. Good on him. He shut the haters up.
Yeah, me too. I feel like that is the best way to react to negative comments and stuff like that. And to be honest, it wasn't until he was like crying during the post-fight interview when he was like, the hate got to me. I was reading the comments. I was about to quit boxing. I almost completely forgot that he was in the hospital. I was like, why is he crying? But no, man, I'm pretty sure these past few months have been very, very difficult, not just on him, but also his father as well. This is a father and son duel. They've been doing this since the amateurs. It's just them. And so I think this is a really good statement for him. I think this is a good bounce back, even though he didn't lose back in February. But just the perception, And I think now, I think people just are gonna completely forget about that and just move on and just be like, okay, yeah, this is a new version of Austin. We want to see him go up against some of these bigger guys, these guys who are higher ranked than him and stuff like that. And
he's back in the mix. Yeah. He's back in the mix now. Everyone's they're matchmaking him now. They want Shakur. They're calling for all these type of fights. So he's back, and he showed great power. Because Tevin Farmer's been in there with Murataya, who's a hard puncher. He's a very respectable hard puncher. He couldn't do that to him. I think he dropped him late, but I don't think he didn't stop him. They went all rounds. Zepeda, 24 rounds, supposed beast, machine. Didn't stop him. It's at some points was whooping his ass in that second fight, but still, Tevin Farmer is known to have a pretty good chin, but that all went away when that right hand landed. It was crazy.
Yeah, and it's crazy because this is the first time that Tevin Farmer has ever been stopped. Tevin Farmer is a guy who a lot of people consider him as a slick boxer. Who a lot of fighters have difficulty landing even one punch or even two good punches on him, and Kid Austin he's such an explosive guy. You know what I'm saying? He's able to turn it up a notch, and he just threw a 1-2, boom, and just rocked a Farmer. So I think right now, dude, he's only 22. He's still really, really young, and I'm curious to see how his career progresses from here on out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see Floyd Schofield and what's next for him. He is the number 2 ranked for Gervonta for Tank's belt. So, people were matchmaking saying, hey, Kid Austin against Tank Davis would be a fight. Him against, Sugar Shakur, Andy Cruz, there's so many fighters and so many big fights that could be that are possible at 135 for Floyd Schofield. So, we're going to have to wait and see. But regardless, great performance from him. But I will say this, Tevin Farmer, look, I think the fights with Zepeda took something out of him, like you said, that second fight especially, there were moments, especially early on, where Zepeda was whooping him, and the damage that he took in those 2 fights were, I think they paid off at the end, because look, he got destroyed by Floyd in the first round. So it could be, that could be a factor to it. It couldn't, it doesn't really matter at this point anymore, but what matters is Floyd Schofield got that win and is now looking for big moves at 135. So that was the Julio Cesar Chavez and Jake Paul card, headlined by Jake Paul as he defeated Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. by UD and is looking to become a new world champion. Now, moving on to fights that have been confirmed. This weekend we were blessed by Mike Coppinger and The Ring announcing the agreement between Brian Norman Jr. and Devin Haney, as well as the rematch between Conor, Benn, and Chris Eubank Jr. First, Devin Haney and Brian Norman Jr. Big fight, 147. Devin Haney is looking to become a 3-division world champion, and he is taking on the best 147-pounder in the world. Thoughts about that?
Yeah, man. Fantastic news. That's amazing news. And, you could say what you want about Devin Haney. I know he has a lot of haters around the world, myself included. But you can't lie, he does not duck the smoke. He's going for belts. And he's fighting top guys. For a guy that's so young, he does have a very respectable resume. He has respectable belts. He was a undisputed, and he's also a champion at 140. Now he's looking to become a champion at 147. You have to tip your hat off to Devin Haney, and despite all the negative press that he's currently facing, man, because in the boxing community they all don't like him. So hey, good on him. I think it's gonna be a good fight, man. Very good fight. I think the styles are gonna clash. Obviously we're gonna get the cautious Devin Haney. Which I found interesting. Because his last fight with Sarah Ramirez, obviously we were all talking about it. Way too cautious, right? He fought like a coward. He didn't even want to engage at all. And I'm surprised he goes in and he's going up now fully to 147, and he's fighting a hard puncher. Brian Norman Jr. hits hard. You know, obviously we got that fight of the year KO earlier this month, but like he hits hard. He's a hard puncher. So you know, we're definitely gonna see Devin Haney on the back foot, sticking out that jab, moving. So you know, we'll see if Brian Norman can what he can make. We'll see if he can make it happen. You know, get that KO rolling.
Yeah, man. Super surprised. I mean, as of right now, I believe Norman is the top dog at 147. I think he's the strongest champion, and he's the toughest. He is the toughest champion at 147. So I mean, it's just like what you said. You know, I'm on the same boat. I'm not gonna say that I'm a hater of Haney, but I'm not supportive of his style. Let's put it that way. Yeah, man. I mean, like he's done so much at such a young age, and he continues to surprise me. You know, he continues to go for the big guys, for the fights that, you know, make it real interesting. You know, a lot of people are very curious to see how this fight is actually going to look. Is Devin Haney going to be able to pull it off? Has he been able to shake the cobwebs out from that devastating no contest against Ryan Garcia? Yeah, man. And is he going to become a three-time world champion? No.
You know, it surprises me though about Devin Haney is how, you know, little like the amount of time that took him to compete at 140 and then to immediately jump to 147. I mean, he only officially fought at 140 two times. That was the Pro Grace and the Ryan Garcia. And then the Ramirez was a catchweight. So it baffles me how he's now 147 and how he even made a 135. I mean, you remember when he was fighting at 135, the weigh-ins, people would just watch just to see the state of that man. He looked like a, you know, like a carcass or something, man. He looked in terrible shape. So it baffles me how he made 135 at all. But I mean, he's at 147 now. I mean, he's officially the first fighter from the whole, you know, the modern Four Kings to officially make his move to 147. You know, I feel like originally, though, the fight was supposed to be him and Ryan Garcia, the rematch. But then that didn't go through, I guess. And then Teofimo Lopez jumped in for a little bit, you know, kind of teased it, and then he jumped out. And now, you know, Brian Norman Jr. came in. So I'm glad we finally do get an official fight for Devin Haney. And I'm glad it's against a big name, or not a big name, but a big fighter in Brian Norman Jr., who is coming off a, you know, like you said, the KO of the year contender. So it's a big risk and a big reward for Devin Haney if he's able to get the job done in November. Now, the other fight that was announced also was the rematch between Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn. Thoughts about that one?
Again, fantastic news. You know, boxing fans are eating good right now. You know, these are great news, honestly. Yeah, you know, the first fight was so good. Why not run it back? You know, because the first one, fight of the year contender. But I think it was clear as day. I think if I remember correctly, I scored it like 8-4 for Eubank. I think he clearly won. And now we're getting the rematch. And the thing I'm most curious about is if there's going to be a rehydration clause. Because if you remember correctly, the first fight, there was a rehydration clause on Chris Eubank Jr. I believe it was 10 pounds. Because, you know, he's coming up. He's a 168 fighter. And Conor Benn is a 147-pound fighter. So, you know, to make it fair, they did a 10-pound rehydration clause. Well, now Chris Eubank won the first fight, so now he has the leveraging power. You know, he's the one that can sit back, and Conor Benn is the one that wants that rematch. I wonder, if there's going to be a rehydration clause, and if it's going to be at 160 again. Those are some things that are on my mind, but you know, I think it's going to be a good fight again. I think.
Well, did the original contract have the rematch clause?
I believe so. I think so. Yeah.
So would the same rules apply then, or not?
I don't know. No. Depends on the contract, you know.
Yeah, it just really depends. I think, it's like what you said. I think the winner has the more leveraging power to, you know, dictate the shots. You know, how big the ring is going to be, where at, and things here and there.
And that paycheck too.
And the paycheck, yes.
You can't forget that, man. Yeah. It's the most important part.
The A side, yeah. For me though, look. Look, if I'm going to be a hater towards anyone, it's going to be against Conor Benn. I just don't like the way he, just his recent actions, just with the whole steroid allegations and stuff like that. I really wanted to not see this guy ever again. But in regards to that, he did get the fight with Eubank. And to be honest, he didn't look the best. He lost that fight, and he lost against a guy who was super dehydrated, who was super limited, who had basically chains and shackles tied to him, and yet he still couldn't beat him. That power was nowhere to be found, and I thought that was gonna be the last time we were gonna see Benn. But in this next fight, I really want Chris to just knock him out. I'm tired of seeing Conor Benn. I'm tired of seeing the Eggman. I just want him out. Like I hope. If you're watching this, just knock him out.
Well, I mean, the interesting thing, though, in the first fight, it felt like Chris didn't really have the power to kind of hurt Conor Benn. There were, of course, moments, especially late into the fight, where I did feel that the weight and also the fatigue was setting in, and Chris Eubank was able to land some big shots on Conor Benn. But there wasn't many moments. I thought it was going to be more noticeable, like the advantage and the weight for Chris compared to Conor Benn. But I feel like Conor Benn I was a bit more scared when Conor Benn would throw, man. I was all like, damn, I feel like he could stop Chris if he lands clean, more so than Chris landing on Conor. So that was a big interesting thing I saw during the first fight. And I'm wondering if maybe it's true, what the rehydration clause, stuff like that, like if that's not implemented into the rematch, then we're going to see a fully rehydrated Chris Eubank Jr., who I feel like is going to be able to pack a punch.
Yeah, that is the one thing that stopped Chris from looking even better than what he did in the first fight, is not being able to rehydrate to the weight class that or a weight that he feels comfortable fighting at during fight day. Like, can you imagine? Like, I swear, if Chris plays his cards right, he should just not have a rehydration clause. Like, if he does not have a rehydration clause, he's definitely going to stop Conor.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Shit, bro. Maybe he can do a 15-pound rehydration clause. 12 and a half. Just increment it little by little.
Well, I mean, I think in this specific scenario, I think this is actually the very few scenarios in which a rehydration clause is merited. Conor Benn is 147 and Chris Eubank is 168. I mean, that's a massive difference, honestly. And you saw it as well. Even in Chris is just so much bigger than him naturally. So I mean, I think in that instance where the families they wanted to fight each other, it had to be done for the legacy. That when that fight was made, I think it was okay for there to be a rehydration clause. That's one of the very few. I'm not a very big fan of rehydration clauses, but I think in that instance it was good. And the thing I'm most looking forward to, I think the fight's going to be amazing, right? It's going to be great again. I think Chris is going to win again. I believe so. I think he's looking real good. But I just want those pictures with Eubank Sr. and Eubank Jr. again. They're I swear some of those photos were like photos of the year. Chris Eubank Sr. pulling up when no one knew. The whole lead up they were talking trash to each other, and then boom, he comes out to the arena. That's gangster right there. So I want to see that. That father-son duo is one of the best.
Yeah, something that I would definitely look forward to in this rematch. But I mean, I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see what the details of that contract is.
Mm-hmm. Well, they are set to fight in September. The arena is still not known. According to Eddie Hearn, they are looking at the Spurs or Wembley even, but they'll decide on that later. But yes, we got two big fights coming up later this year in the fall, and I'm very excited for both of them. Early predictions: I'm predicting Chris Eubank Jr. to beat Conor Benn, and for Devin Haney and Brian Norman Jr., upset. Brian Norman Jr. will be defeating Devin Haney by knockout.
I agree as well. I think I'm liking Norman's chances, and the funny thing is the kryptonite in that Ryan Garcia fight was that hook and that speed and the timing. Well, I saw a very strong hook. I saw very fast speed, and I saw great timing in Brian Norman Jr.'s recent performance in Japan. it was his hook. I mean, his hook was the one that finished it, right? But even before the first couple rounds, he was landing some devastating hooks, man. It was crazy. So I'm liking Brian's chances, honestly, man. You know, Haney, I think he's still a bit shook up from that Garcia fight. I think he's gonna try his best to, you know, stick the jab and move, but I think Brian has the timing, the timing down where he can, one of Devin Haney's jabs where he overextends, he's gonna catch him with like a hook, or maybe catch him with the hook going out like moving backwards. I like it a lot, and I think he does have the power as well to knock him out. So I'm looking for a stoppage or a knockout.
Damn, that's crazy. So yeah, I would say we're brothers because I'm of that same thinking, except in regards with Norman and Haney, that'd be tough, man. I mean, I feel like if Norman is able to land a strong punch, he's just gonna knock out Haney. I don't even think Haney's gonna be able to take it, whether the storm or whatever. I think he's just gonna go down. I just think that chin has been touched. I don't think that chin was ever solid to begin with, and you know, I still think Haney knows it, and I think the rest of the world knows it, and I think most importantly, Brian Norman knows it as well. Could I see him winning by KO? Yes, but I could also see him winning just by beating him around, you know, touching him here and there, and then just Haney hugging him and then just running for the hills, running corner to corner. And then for Chris and Conor, I'm going for Chris.
Well, Devin Haney, he do got dog, man. Remember, he got dropped 3 times by a ped up, you know, a roided up Ryan Garcia, and he stood up all 3 times. So, you know, he's got grit, he's got heart. But I do think that Brian Norman Jr. will be putting him down and out come November, I believe. So we'll see what happens in those 2 matchups. But let us know down below your thoughts and your predictions, early predictions for these 2 fights. Also, let us know about Julio Cesar Chavez and Jake Paul. Do you think it's a rigged fight? Do you think corruption? Do you think he was bought? You know, he sold out? Or do you think that Jake Paul is really that guy? He's quote unquote I'm him type shit. But let us know what your thoughts and opinions are in the comment section below. Don't forget to like and subscribe and follow us on all forms of social media. Also, we're trying to build up a community on Discord, and you guys joining would be greatly appreciated. And the social medias are Instagram, TikTok, and X. But this was Pablo, and I'm with Rudo and Asa, and this was the Last Round Podcast. Thank you for watching.